Hey guys, Patrick here. I am in Cleburne, Texas with Phil Tucker, Bristlenose Dude of Bristlenose Factory. And we are here in his garage fish room. He's going to go ahead and give us a tour. So we're going to go ahead and walk on in. As we can see, we've got the GoPro. So you see that on the bottom right corner. I've got that going on. You're going to see the whole room as we go tank by tank. Now Phil, this is, you got it looks like, you get a shot of his 2-car garage over here, and then we got the 1-car garage. And here you've framed it off, and you still have the garage door there. You have it opened up in the summer to let some air in. I see on the garage door itself, do you have any insulation there for the winter?
Yes, it's insulated here.
Okay, so it is insulated. You have it closed in the winter. You have a heater for the space, but how big would you say your space is here?
I don't know, 300 feet maybe.
Okay, so
may not be that big even.
300 square foot,
yeah,
I'd say, and it's what would you say, 12 foot by 25?
Yeah, 12 by about 20.
12 by 20?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
So you got 12 by 20 space. Over here, the house, your door goes into the house here.
Yeah, that goes right into the laundry room where I get my water from.
All right, so your laundry room's right there. When you're doing your maintenance and stuff, you have the water source right there.
Yep.
In the summer, you have this kind of open with some fans.
Yeah, I run ambient temperature in the summertime with a couple fans running, just circulate the air through here. All the tanks have the lids up. There's too many tanks to raise the lids and feed every day, so I go with evaporation and water movement to keep the temperature down. Right now, I'm probably running about 82 in here, which is not bad. I have gotten up as high as 90 on a really hot summer on extended number of days at 100 or more, but I generally run 82, 84 in the summer.
So 82, 84 in the summer because it's shaded and stuff. You have the wind flow going through all of this. I noticed that it is quiet in this room. You don't have a blower, obviously. You got a linear piston pump?
Yeah, I actually have 2 linear pistons running in conjunction.
In conjunction from Gemco?
Yes.
So we got them? Okay.
Both came from Gemco.
Which are great because they're nice and quiet. You've got your PVC running, I see, and you have it even at different levels.
Yeah, I've had to come up and over a couple of times to get to new tanks as I added things and moved things around. So it's all a continuous loop.
How many tanks would you say you're running
There's
here?
53 tanks, about 1,600 gallons.
1,600 gallons, 53 tanks.
Tanks run from 15 gallons up to 110 gallons.
All right. And then you go and you're pretty stringent on your water changes because you have some heavily stocked tanks.
I try to do it every week, but sometimes it's every other week. It's just the way it is.
Okay.
I do use a black magic marker in every rack. When I do a water change, I write that down because there's so many you can never keep up with.
You'll keep up and forget.
Yeah,
and so you're probably doing some water change every day.
Every day, every couple of days. Yeah, I think I'm down to my next water change will be tanks from the 28.
Okay.
So that's I'm just over a week.
Now, are you conditioning it in container and then pumping it in, or are you just going straight from the tap and treating it?
I go straight from the tap. I use Fritz ACCR. This powder straight into the tank. And
straight into the tank as it's filling up.
Right out of the tap.
And that's a powder.
That's a powder.
So it's kind of like safe.
Right.
So is there a reason you use this instead of like safe or something like that?
I've used Prime. I've used Amquell, several others, and I just wound up with that.
Okay.
So it works great for me. And all the others have worked great too.
Okay.
This is what I wound up with.
All right.
And it works very well.
And let me just, while we're here looking at your rack here,
it's just my miscellaneous junk.
You know, like if I walk into a fish room and I see these bricks, I know somebody's doing Placos, right?
Fantastic, free stuff for your fish to hide in and stay on.
Yeah, the Placos love it.
You can't beat it. And when you want to catch the baby Plecos to go sell them, you just pick the brick up, slide a net under it, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, you got all of them.
No chasing them around the tank.
So, you're doing how much percentage of your water every week, would you say?
Most tanks now are getting 50. Some of them I'll do 95.
So you'll drain them out 50 to 95%. And then you go have that water splashing back in.
Right.
And you have the Fritz Pro Aquatics to go and treat the water as it's going in.
Yep. And you'll see my water change hose when we get over here. I got a drain hose. I get 4 or 5 tanks ahead, and then I hook my fill hose up in there, and then I start filling right behind it.
Very cool.
So I'm trying to do two things at once, which gets you in trouble sometimes because of overflow.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention.
I know they've got those little alarms you can get now. I need to get one of those that'll tell you if it's it'll start beeping when you're getting too high.
Yeah.
You can come running. So you built these stands yourself.
Yeah.
I've been here before. I've talked to you about these, but never done a video. So this is a cool part. I get to do a tour of your room and interview you. Tell me about your stands though, because these are some cool stands.
They're just all basically 2x4 construction, just a box with 4 legs and how many ever layers you want.
Right.
This is a little different here
This
because
is
I actually dadoed it.
Or dado, yeah.
And this is actually a 1x instead of a 2x. That's only about 1.5 inches.
So why'd you decide to dado this one?
Well, based on the size of the tank, all the weight's carried right here.
Right.
So it's more than this. Instead of going 2x4s, I got 5 tanks, so I didn't want to waste more space. So I said, I'm just going to dado these in and just use a 1x. It's only 3/4 thick. Instead of having to do this where I'm losing 3.5 inches, I'm only losing 3/4 of an inch.
That's true.
Now, if you were spanning 6 feet, different story.
Right.
But this is only a 24-inch tank. It's 24 by 24. So this carries.
I love these footprints
perfectly.
too. I mean, they're almost like frag tanks. You know, the way they're set up, they're so cool with that surface area.
This is the last rack I built.
Yeah.
So this rack here is also dadoed as 2x4s, but I built this rack probably at least 20 years ago. And when I had to sell all my stuff, I sold them to a friend of mine, and they sat on his patio, tanks dry just like that, but dry for 20 years. And I finally got them back from him, cleaned them up, filled them up, never leaked. But those are old Oceanics that weigh a ton.
Yeah.
They don't make tanks like those tanks anymore.
Too bad too, because those are some great
those
tanks.
are 36 by 15s.
Now, is this treated lumber that you got?
No, it's just basic pine, and it's stained and finished.
So you stained and finished it, and then after you put it together, you stain and finish it, or you just stain and finish each piece?
No, I do it after it's put together.
Okay, after it's put together.
Everything's glued and screwed, so it's not coming apart.
Yeah.
So this is pretty solid. This is going to hold this.
Yeah, it's great.
Some of these racks have been around for a long time, and I've had them when I lived in Arlington.
Now let's talk about feeding real quick before we go tank by tank.
Sure.
All right, because you've got
all over here.
Yeah, you've got. Well, I know you got. Looks like you got some right here. You got some flake and stuff, but I think we've talked, and I've heard that you get some of these like bags of fish food that you would get like at a fish farm for catfish and stuff like that.
A product from Skeetering that's a real fine powder. It's not a powder. It's less than 1 millimeter probably.
Right.
And pretty much everybody eats that.
Okay.
It's about $100 for a 50-pound bag.
And you buy that from where?
I buy it from Skeetering. It's Skeetering.
Online?
Something like that. Yeah, you can buy it online. I actually usually get it with Paige.
Okay.
He orders a bag for me. I got a 50-pound bag inside. All that extra food I keep in a bucket sealed up in the pantry.
And then you have these containers that you put in that are, airproof and everything, moisture-proof, and put them in there.
Yeah.
And then
but that's the bulk of what everybody eats is that.
Okay.
Then they eat this flake food from Jimco. I bought a 26-pound box of that.
Right.
And then I buy other odds and ends of pellets.
And you feed once a day, twice a day?
Every day or two I feed green beans, a couple cans of green beans for the room.
Right.
Little guys.
Which, Phil's the one who pointed out the green beans to me. I go through 2 cans a day now. But you just do the French cut, regular canned green beans, open them up.
Cheapest ones you can buy.
Cheapest one you can buy. I mean, I've done...
Drain them out and...
I've done the one with salt and the ones without salt. I haven't seen a difference.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
People freak out about that. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Now they do create a lot of waste, which is why you got to be stringent on your water changes.
Right.
We were talking as well, and because these are heavily stocked, you have to make sure that air is running.
Right. Yeah. Everything's you gotta have air going for
and
sure.
Unlike my tanks that they're circulating together, so they have water movement here. Yours is all strictly sponge filters with air. Yes, except for some of the.
I have a couple of the old Aqua Clears.
Right.
But most everything I have are hot magnums, which
That's a great filter. I like the hot magnums.
Discontinued many years ago.
Yeah.
And I can't get any more. But that's I've had 15 or 16 of those.
The hot magnums, yeah.
And I just use those on tanks that are pretty heavily stocked that have a lot of stuff in the water, just strictly for particulate.
How often do you say you would clean out the media that's in the hot magnums?
Sometimes it'll clog up in a day, and I'll just unplug it and just until I get to it. And
when you get to it.
Yeah, I haven't done a great job on that. Summertime sucks. It's just hot.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm sure it does get warm out here. Though right now it's pleasant. We are in front of this fan.
I am running some pre-filters on some of these now because a lot of them I'm running in tanks with little fish.
Right.
And it's a pre-filter that goes on
like a pool.
The Supreme Danner, the 9.5. I can't think of the name of it. One of the big pumps that pumps water.
Okay.
And it has a housing on it that slips right over the intake of the hot magnums.
Yes, to keep them from pulling in any fry or anything.
And this just slips right over that.
In fact, I've got some of these on eBay, and that they sell them as if you have a pool filter that goes along the pool.
Yeah.
And it'll go along, and it's a intake cover for that. And I've used it as an intake cover.
I bought those from them because it has a housing that keeps it from sucking up so quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, those work great, and they extend the life of that filter by a couple of weeks.
Yeah, because you got a lot of the bigger sediment that's not getting in that filter and stuff.
Yeah, you're cutting down what gets caught up and what gets inside.
And every time you're doing a tank, you are gravel vacuuming and sucking stuff up.
It's amazing how much junk can get in that gravel in a week.
Yeah, especially if you're feeding green beans and stuff like that.
I've often wondered how you take care of your gravel since you don't do that very often.
I don't, no.
I mean, the gravel, the water coming up the hose sometimes will be black.
It's amazing with the ivy and that grow bed. We'll go and clean that water though.
Really?
Yeah.
And you don't get a bunch of stuff in the gravel.
It is, but it doesn't hurt the fish.
Hurt anything.
And so now it can be unsightly, and I'm like, I need to get this, but again, you got a lake or a river or something. Nobody's gravel vacuuming those, are they?
Right,
You know, they just wait till a flow. But when you have something like this, you have to definitely make sure that you don't have that detritus buildup. So, and your tanks are looking great, as we're about to see. The other thing I wanted to ask you about before we started going on to these is your Bristlenose Fry, because you breed thousands of bristlenose in this fish room, in this garage fish room. And I've heard that you know there should be something they're constantly munching on if you want to have a higher yield.
Right.
And you said a lot of the green beans you only go like every other day or something.
Yeah.
Is that true with like some of the ones with fry?
No, I mean the adults. No, the adults. Everybody gets fed. Ooh, I got a dead one right there. See, everybody gets fed 2, 3, 4 times a day. So I'm not working now, and so I'll feed it.
Well, retired now, 2, 3,
right? 4 times a month. Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe.
COVID's got me.
COVID's got
I'm
you.
unemployed.
All right.
So I feed 2, 3, 4 times a day. And
right.
So everybody, particularly on fry, I might feed 5, 6 times a day. And just reduce the volume and feed them more often. On the Bristlenose Fry, the little bitty ones, they do really well with Indian almond leaves.
Okay.
Because those things slowly break down, all kinds of little stuff grows on them, and the little bitty babies constantly are chewing on those.
And you've always got some for sale, I know. Because you get it in bulk or something.
I buy them 1,000 at a time.
Yeah.
Get them from Taiwan, and so I use those in a lot of my tanks with my small.
Now I know some other people, they'll use some of the native tree leaves and stuff like that.
Some people use oak and some of that.
Oak, yeah.
But these have always worked for me. I sell 90% of what I buy.
That's true, so, and then you use.
And I just use the rest of them. But that I think really helps them. And I always keep wood in the tanks with all the bristlenose because they want to hang on that and chew on that.
Yeah.
But even before they've got their egg sacs absorbed, I've got a little piece of this wood in their little container that they're growing out in, so that they can start chewing on that as soon as they hatch and are ready to.
Now, how long have you been an aquarist?
Continuously now, about 20 years.
20 years? Okay.
You know, I kept fish back when I was a kid. I had my degree from Texas A&M in Wildlife and Fishery Sciences.
Yeah.
So that was a benefit to me from the ecology, the chemistry, scientific names, just understanding how it all works.
Right. I mean, I got to know you through TCA, and we've both been in that for years. How long have you had your fish room going? Is this your first fish room?
No, I had it in Arlington.
Okay.
It was in multiple rooms. I didn't have it in one.
I heard they have some good water in Arlington.
The water in southeast Arlington I live was magic. way better than here. Yes, way better than here. But I've been doing this continuously for at least 20 years.
Okay, 20 years.
Yeah.
Now you are known as Bristlenose Dude, and you breed thousands of bristlenose. But let me ask you, was it the bristlenose that got you into the hobby? Was it the bristlenose that, like, you know, that's your favorite fish?
That's my favorite fish.
Or is that just the bread and butter fish?
They came along later. You know, I bought a couple of them to eat the algae and keep my tanks clean, and some of my friends started spawning them. So all mine were adults. So I knew what was male and female, and I took 2 of them and put them in a tank and put a cave in there, and the next morning I had eggs.
Right.
So
and then on, you're like, oh,
here we go.
Great. So,
but it's the fish I raise the most of.
Right.
And I have numbers of colonies of all of them.
What's your all-time favorite fish? Do you have it?
Oh man, Nimbochromis lanai, which I don't even have any of. It's a pretty awesome fish. Boy, it'd be hard to say.
Like if you could only keep 3 fish.
What would
you had this fish room, but it could be any 3 fish in the world.
Yeah, I don't know.
What 3 fish?
I don't know.
You're on the hot seat. You gotta give me something.
I don't know.
You gotta give me something, otherwise you get no fish.
Neoleptologus lalupis, an awesome one.
And then a bristlenose, some super reds or something.
Yeah, I like the super red calicos.
We'll just say, we'll say bristlenose will be. It's you know, it could be any bristlenose. You can keep bristlenose.
I keep most of the colors.
I do like those super red calicos. I breed those too.
That's probably my favorite one. I like them better than the super red.
But the super reds sell for more.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And I have two nice colonies of super reds. So I produce plenty of fry from those.
Okay.
But I mean, the third one, I don't know what it'd be. I've always liked Labia trophius. Fuliborni, the marmalade cat, I bred those for years with the OB males. That was always a favorite. I don't have the OB. I have Travas now, but it's Nampanga red. But they're really, really pretty nice fish, and I got a great colony of those going right now. So those are one of my favorites too.
All right, let's go ahead and start going tank by tank, and as we go, when we pass the pump and your water change station, we'll stop and talk with those. And as I'm looking at your power with the extension cord up into
I think I'm pretty safe on power in here because everything's on GFI. I ran some more power from the box. One of my buddies is an electrician, and we put some more plugs in over here on a brand new circuit. So
how often are your lights on?
How often are they off? Never. They're always on.
Are they?
No, I never turn them off. I don't have a switch where I can turn everything off.
So at night they're still on?
And they run 24/7.
Really?
That's why I always.
They're not all LED either.
Most of them are now. There are still some fluorescents. As they quit, I'm putting LEDs.
You keep them on all the time?
Never turn them on. Man, I keep wondering when the cops are going to show up with all that light coming under the door and think I'm growing pot.
I'm just, it's as I'm looking at the tanks, I'm like, there's not much algae. And I know you breed a lot of bristlenose, and they probably take care of a lot of that.
They do.
How much are you scraping all the time?
Not much.
Not much?
No. Very, very little, surprisingly. And I don't care what happens on the rest of the glass other than the front. If it grows on the side or the back, I don't care.
Yeah, you're good.
Just
the front you want clean.
I don't scrape much.
Okay.
I do some, but not much.
All right, let's go ahead and start off with these super reds. We'll start off with this rack up here.
This is just a fry tank of bristlenose, and you can see what's in there. Blue eyes, super red calicos, albino, and standard green dragons. And they're just grow outs in there from the winter. I don't know. There's quite a few of them in there.
So these are all grow outs. Hey, you've got a plant, a Nubius, huh?
I do. Actually,
I'm so proud of you. Look at that.
I had some other stuff.
I know you don't do many plants, so look at that.
I got some other stuff. I had some other stuff too, but it got too hot and it kind of petered out.
Hey, that was good though.
This is a colony of calicos, and there's a whole bunch of baby manganos, cichlids in there, mouth breeders from Malawi. And everybody quit spawning in the summertime here. I actually had spawns up into late June this year, which I don't normally have. The water temperatures gets too hot, and they say no more babies.
How often are you cleaning your sponge filters? Do you do that when you do water change?
No? I don't do it.
Not that often.
No, not that often.
Yeah.
I probably should do it more.
Me too.
This is a group of brown bristlenose breeders, and then these are some of the Nampanga red Travas in there. This tank I actually did let the baby browns in the tank. This last spawn he had, I didn't pull them. So you can see there's lots of little browns swimming around.
It's like
in
we're
there.
fanning something, maybe.
He's probably not on eggs. It's gotten too warm.
All right, I'm going down.
This is
here.
some frontoses I got with when they were little bitty and had egg sacs on them. They're Burundis, and these are your electric blues.
Electric blue cars, yeah.
I just need to get them in a tank. I'm thinking they're ready to start having babies.
They're getting there. They are. They are getting there. Now you've got, what is this? 5 inches
Yeah.
of clearance, and this is a deep tank. Is that enough?
Yeah. I mean, my these are the. I usually use this net
Just cut the
and
handle.
just cut it off. Yeah, and I can get in there and catch anything I need.
Nice.
It can be aggravating on some of the others. They're pretty tight.
All right.
And this is a tank of grow outs. Most of this will go down to Dave's rare fish. There's Manganos, there's VC10s, there's the Mapanga red full of born eyes, there's some Albino Morieyes, and there's some Chroma azureus in there as well. All just grow outs, waiting to get big enough to sell to Dave.
Beautiful.
He takes lots of my Africans.
And you, I'm looking for the date that you did the water change on these. Good.
It's right here, 728. This is the oldest rack. This is the rack that this side and this needs the next water change. So I'm just about a week out, so I'm not in bad shape.
No, that's good.
Everything else is more current than that.
Go ahead and go over here to some of these.
This is a nifty little fish
Beautiful
out of Mexico,
bears.
Xenotaka lion's eye. And then there's a couple of Rio Atapa Ziphiforus helleri, and then there's a group of calico bristlenose. Those bristlenose have been in there since 2/23 of 2014. There's 1 male and 5 females. He's produced thousands of babies, but they've never left this 15-gallon tank in 6 years.
I don't know if I've seen you bring many of these to the.
No, those don't leave too often.
Yeah, it's a cool fish, though.
I took a pair of them to the last swap meet we had and sold them. I have a few fry hanging around, but
are they pretty prolific or no?
They're pretty. Yeah, they have
just eat
giant
their
babies
fry.
like the typical.
Right.
The typical. This is a Caris fish, so they have giant babies.
I like that tail.
They remind me of the rainbow fish from Australia, kind of.
Yeah.
Body shape, kind of.
And they've got the.
And these are very
differentiation
mature
color.
fish. These are not young fish. Very mature fish. Had them in there they've been in there since 2015, so they've been around a while.
All right, it's like your live bear rack here.
That's
Cares rack.
That's a blue eye, my L144 blue eye, some breeders, and then there's blackfin Gudiids and Amicus splendens in there that went in there when they were just born. And I'll pull those out and separate them. I need to get them out of there.
All right.
This is a breeding pair of Hemichroma sexual. Pretty rare fish in the United States still.
Which I just did a tour of Tropical Warehouse, and they got these in from.
They came from Asia. His initial stock came from Asia.
Right.
And he paid quite a penny for them. This is about as big as they get. Male 3.5, female 3.
That color is just stunning.
They're extremely red. They're very prolific. They're not meaner than crap. They like harder water. They don't have to have the water that some of the other Hemichromas like, so it does real well in our water source.
Yeah.
This is one spawn from this pair, so I don't want any more babies right now, so I've left them with them so they won't have any more.
But you just got these.
I got them late November last year. Yeah. I haven't had them too long, a little over 6 months.
Right.
This is just a grow out tank. There's Neolamprologus cylindricus, and then there's some albino. These are albino green dragons, the plecos, and then Chroma azureus babies in there too. There's about 40 of those. Mouth brooder from Malawi.
While we're here, and I'm looking at the PVC here, and you've just drilled right into this.
Yeah, just tapped right in.
And you get these from Gemco as well?
Those may have come from Ken's Fish, but Gemco certainly sells them as well. Yeah, you can get them from a number of places.
Now, I know my airlines, I haven't cemented any of it or anything.
I haven't either.
Yeah, so you can easily move.
Matter of fact, this winter when it cools off, I'm going to pull all this apart and bring it outside.
Yeah.
And I'm going to redo all that, but I'm not going to do it while it's hot.
While it's hot. All right, we've got this is just standard 55 down. No,
standard 55.
Yeah, standard 55.
Most of these fish are getting ready to go over to Dallas North Aquarium, and this is Manganos from Lake Malawi, and then there's various and sundry grow out bristlenose in there. There's some albino or some calicos and some browns. I'm fixing to take him the bulk of the stuff in this tank this week, I hope. And these guys breed all the time, so there's a female holding right there.
Yep.
There's several females in her hold, and I stripped them. All the babies we saw in that tank over here came from this tank.
Okay.
3 or 4 weeks ago. They spawn all the time. He got mad at me. I did a water change yesterday, and I covered up his little spot back there in the corner where they spawn.
Oh yeah, he does have a little.
He's dug it out again. But very prolific fish, and a lot of people say these are mean, but I don't really have any issues with them.
They seem all right. All right, over here.
That's another tank of Hemichroma Zul grow outs. Not with mom and dad.
You bring a bunch of them.
This is baby bristlenose, a number of different colors. A couple of snails in there. Something unfortunately I cannot get rid of.
You need a puffer.
Yeah,
I get a net every time and feed that puffer every other day.
I've thought about that. He would be well fed. He would be well fed for sure. More bristlenose grow outs, and there's some adults in here as well. That the last swap meet we had, some of the stuff I didn't sell, so I just threw it in here. Yeah.
And some plants.
Yeah, that was water sprite, and the snails had just tore the crap out of it. So they kind of ruined that.
Green dragon.
Some more green dragons. This is some younger lion's eye that, so you can see these are younger fish.
Yeah.
Babies from those. These guys don't like the water is hot, so they're kind of PO'd right now in the summertime because the water's too warm.
They
not
like it in the winter.
They'd rather it be 70 degrees instead of 80.
Look at this one. It's kind of blotchy.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. All right.
This is Giliochromis regani. Most of these are going to Dallas North Aquarium too, and a bunch of miscellaneous bristlenose males. Some of those will go to him as well. I'm taking like a dozen of those. This is a Pistogromus panduro. I got
a
Pistogramma panduro I got from Ian.
Yeah.
He wanted me to take these home and try to breed them. This is female. That's male.
Beautiful.
I don't really have the right kind of water. I'm gonna have to get some RO water, I think, and put these in the tank by themselves. He gave me the last 6 he had. Turned out it was 3 pairs. But yeah, really, that's a gorgeous little fish, and I think that's about as big as they get. But stark difference in the male and the female. You know, she's yellow with those black spots, and he's got that beautiful blue on him. And they're getting nicer looking. Of course, that's a dominant male.
Right.
He's getting nicer looking all the time as he gets older and starts to mature. But really, really pretty little fish.
Well, and I mean, they're healthy in your water. They're just not breeding right now.
Yeah, they're not going to spawn out.
Got another plant back there.
I know. I know you're surprised.
Slowly getting the quiet plants. All right, I gotta focus on this gutter light right here.
Yeah, it's LED. See, I buy those LEDs from Home Depot, and you might have to get them to order them for you, but they're only about $15 for a 4-foot tube.
Yeah.
So not bad at all. And a lot of times I just lay them on top. I don't even put the gutter over it.
It's still though. I mean, gutter's not hard. Just cut it and put it on.
Yeah, and you can buy the end caps if you want to look a little fancier. If it's in your house.
All right, how big was this? 125?
No, it's a 110.
110.
Yeah, it's 6 foot.
6 foot, 110 gallon.
There's VC10s or the big hap, and then of course the Masoni, and then there's quite a few Petricolas in here. A couple other odds and ends of stuff.
I know my airline, I've got it like circled. You've got a cap on here.
Yeah, I capped off there.
Okay.
But I looped back over going that way.
Back over, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, and you got your DIY K1, K3
filter,
filter.
It's got the K1 media.
K1 media
seems to be okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
hey,
I got one just to try it,
and then of course you've got the caves for these.
Yeah. The pots are easy to do. I just take a small drill and drill a template circle of holes.
Right.
Take a little bitty hammer and start pecking, and slowly peck that hole out so it's nice and round. Pretty easy to do. Mosquitoes biting you? I got a couple of rogue ones in here. Hey, I got a fish jumped out too. Dang it.
How big is this tank right here?
This is a 100.
100 gallon.
Yeah, it's 5 foot. This is my breeder group of Albino Cratacara morii. There's females in there holding now. I got these out of Asia. I bought a whole box of them. They came in at about an inch. So they've been slow growing kinda and slow developing, but they're really starting to spawn now.
They are. They're looking cool.
Mm-hmm.
Did I get these over here?
No. Not these.
All right.
This is just a group of super red calico breeders, young fish, but they produced last year. No babies, nothing going on in the cave right now with them. This is a grow out mainly of albino green draggies. There's some, I think there's some calicos and stuff in there as well. But there are some long fin green dragon albinos in there as well.
Yeah.
The colony has long fins and short fins. That's the prettiest of the orange fish, I think.
Yeah, they are nice.
This is
let's see. Let's go to this pair.
Yeah, this is one of my breeding pairs of the Exul. I just put them together yesterday. Female went in the tank. Male went in the tank today. As you can see, normal Jules would probably he would have killed her already. These guys are not near as mean. As soon as he got in the tank, he said, "Oh my God, there you are! I haven't seen you in a month."
That's why I went and like put all my jewels in one tank up top because I'm like, you guys are too mean. You jerks. I'm done with you.
And they get along fine. I mean, they don't beat the crap out of each other. In a week or so, that pot will have 300-400 eggs.
They'll go and put the eggs in the pot.
And the babies are teeny tiny, and they're prone to move. They'll go into the tank somewhere and dig a hole in the gravel, and they'll move the babies out of that pot into that gravel. And you think, oh my God, they ate all the babies.
They just moved them.
And in a week or so, they start free swimming.
So they're great parents.
They're fantastic parents, yes.
All right. Look at this.
That's the albino green dragon longfin male. It's the only longfin I have, but they all have longfin genetics.
You have fry pretty consistently?
Yeah, I got a lot of fry from them this winter. I have 3 pairs. One male dominates the spawning.
And as long as it's the longfin, you're good.
Yeah, he's the one that spawns most of the time.
Okay.
And this is a grow out. This is the oldest of the fry of the Exul.
Right.
This is the ones I'm selling now. So I just took 100 up to Ian at Tropical Warehouse last Friday.
Nice.
So he was ecstatic to get them.
Get them back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was very, very happy.
Here.
Yeah, that's 55 gallon. I don't know how many's in it. I just took 100 out, so I'm not sure. This is one spawn.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how many.
It's one tank.
I don't know how many babies they had, but
cool.
it was a whole bunch.
All right, let me turn around over here. We got a half beak up here in this.
Yeah, I had 5. I found a body of 1 that passed, and I don't know what happened to the other 2. I was going to try to breed them, but it didn't happen. So these are my green dragon, the standard green dragon breeders, and then there's some albino green dragons in there, and then there's some young greens as well. There's a few Exuls. That big spawn of Exuls. Look at that fish.
Yeah.
He's white.
It came from them?
Yes, I have 2 of them. So I've got them kind of isolated.
Hey,
to see what becomes of this.
Yeah, maybe you can have another strain of just those.
Initially, I thought they were albino, but I do not think so now. So these guys.
Yeah, because their eyes aren't.
They don't look red to me. They look black. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. It's like just some type of pigment.
Yeah, they're melanistic. I'm guessing. Just don't have the dark color that the. But like I say, when I first got these, they look like that. And I go, if you say I gotta take them, I'll take them. And then they turned into those red things, and it turned out to be not so bad.
Mm-hmm. All right, what do we got here?
This is Tomatochromis temporalis, Tomatochromis species temporalis shell.
Well, I'm here. I'm gonna move the GoPro.
Okay. There's a breeding pair of them in here. This is a show fish for sure. If I ever feel like messing with that, he is absolutely gorgeous. Initially I was breeding them in an elbow, and that's about as big as they're ever going to get. And he's pretty good size.
Are these 20 longs up top?
Yeah, they're 20 longs. Okay. I did have a 200 here. I sold it and built this rack.
I remember the 200 you had.
Yeah, I built
you
this
had
rack
the vat
20s.
in here. Now it's in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in the back right now.
But this stand, you built this stand. You built this stand a little different. It looks like.
I didn't want, with the weight, didn't really want to span this far.
Right.
So these are just screwed on there. But I did dado in the 2x4s.
Okay.
I did that just to help with the weight distribution.
Well, you dadoed in the 2x4s, and then you got a little thing up here for the light.
For the top row of lights. Yeah. Yeah, I built that to hold the lights.
And then you went and just got one of these from Gemco and capped it off with your airline.
Just came across, just teed on right. Or
which, by the way, same type of pump that I have.
I have this one.
One air pump
and
right there.
This one over here is half the size. So they're all plumbed together.
That one.
Yeah. And these I've had for 15 years or more. I mean, they're flawless. I mean, and they're...
You know, I should clean my air filter more. You're supposed to clean it like once a year or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have.
Those, you know, this big one costs $250, but imagine what it would cost and the pain you'd have with all the little pumps on every tank.
Exactly.
That would be all you ever did was take care of those.
Room, that's the way to go unless you're plumb them together.
Well worth a little bit of money spent.
Yeah. All right, you got some pink Endlers here.
I got 6 of these last December at the TCA Christmas party. And you can see how many I have now.
See what happens? Merry Christmas.
Now these things never get skinny. Do they just have a few babies all the time? I mean, I've kept them before, but I don't remember. They never get skinny. They're always fat like that, but there's always little babies in there.
And there's always some little babies. They're eating most of them, but you get some that'll...
You see, I've got some that look almost like in class. With they're not this color. They're the standard with the black dot on the side.
Right.
And then there's a colony of super red bristlenose in here that some of my regular breeders.
Well, some fry left. I know I do. I have that sometimes where I get most of the.
I don't get them all out.
Fry, and then sometimes there's still some in there, and they're still waiting, just fine.
Those are adult Gudea atropinus. It's one of the live bears from Mexico that's endangered. Have ginormous babies.
I think you brought a bunch of these to Ian, and
I've sold some of those
because we saw them. We're like, where'd you get that? Oh, I got them from Phil. Oh,
not a gorgeous fish, but interesting. The female, it's called the blackfin Gudea because the female's unpaired fins when she's ready to spawn will be black, and the males are not. They don't have a pronounced gonadopin like the Endlers do, but you can see the split in the male's anal fin.
Are they on the CARES list?
Yes, I believe they're CARES listed as well. Yeah. That's a tank of their babies. They're quite prolific.
And you guys can find Phil at a lot of the local auctions, or you can contact him if you're in the area, but he does not ship. He's not about that life.
Not yet.
So not yet.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Not yet.
That's mostly grow out albino bristlenose. The bulk of those are males. I've been real male heavy on my spawns lately. I'm not sure why.
What kind of alien cave is that, Phil?
It's actually is a birdhouse.
It's a bird.
I got that years ago, and I said, "Hey, man, my fish will like that." It's actually a birdhouse, though.
It's funny.
Made by somebody here in Fort Worth. I've long ago lost the name.
Yeah, one of them humphead cichlids.
There's some of those in there too. There's a pair of them in there.
I just think they look funny.
They're neat little fish. That big one over there bites the crap out of me when I do water changes.
Really?
Yeah, he'll come out there and get you.
I got some shell dwellers that do that. They make me mad. I'm trying to help you. Oh, look at them. Beautiful. Super red calicos.
Yeah, some young adults. I've been saving a lot of fish for
Aquashella
in May, and as we know, that didn't happen.
Nope.
So
Phil and I are going to share a table, and
I've got a lot of adult bristlenose to take. Hopefully it happens on October 31st.
I'm hoping.
If it doesn't, I'm going to be very disappointed. But nothing I can do about it. Let's just grow out bristlenose. I don't know what all's in there. Calicos mostly.
That's an interesting filter there.
I like them kind of grungy.
It's actually, I bet that helps actually.
Yeah, it does. And that's another grow out of young bristlenose. A lot of super red calicos in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot more fish in there than you even think.
So this is your dehumidifier?
That's my dehumidifier that makes it tolerable in here in the winter when we're closed up. And it produces the heat that heats the room.
And this is what you do for the water changes.
Yeah, this is my drain hose. Goes outside to the front yard.
And you can see it just
goes
runs the hose right out onto the front yard.
And this is my fill hose. This end hooks right onto the sink with a worm gear hose clamp. I just got that in there. I constantly spread that because it's hard to get on. And this just hangs in the tank. And I got a valve to shut off to move it.
Shut it off.
And it just hangs in the tank and fills them up. So I just like I said, drain and start right in behind filling.
So where'd you get this attachment here?
This all came from Lowe's. Yeah.
That attachment?
That's usually in the section where they have
the sprinklers and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just Now that is glued together because that'll come apart.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's pressurized.
that just hangs on the tank. That way you don't have to worry about it falling out.
Look at this beautiful green water. I wish I could do this.
This morning when I was doing water changes, you couldn't see an inch into the tank.
You know,
I literally left. I drained it down to there. There was that much water.
Sometimes I try and do green water and I just can't.
I don't want it, but I can't get rid of it.
Well, there's stuff that will get rid of it, but it's great for fry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people, they'll go and they have these green water, and that's what they put the fry in, the small fry.
I'd like to
They just put it in green water.
I like to have some daffodil. You have to be feeding it too, but I don't.
You need
This is baby Mapanga red Trevalis, and then there's some Chroma azurius fry in there. So
what's this plant? Water Sprite?
yeah, I think it's the snails have just ruined it. Chewing on it. There's regular old ram's horns, and then I've got, you can see do your snails do this? Or they float on the water?
No.
Mine turn upside down. The little ones a lot of times and float on the surface.
Really?
I scoop them out often. This is a colony of Labiatrophius trevalis.
But then again, I have an overflow in my tanks, so that might
sucking it out.
Yeah, that might.
This is a really pretty fish out of Malawi. The color on those males with the sky blue dorsal.
Now you've got the same type of substrate on a lot of this. What substrate are you using?
That's
here?
just crushed coral.
Just crushed coral. So
he's just started spawning this round. I think there's one female in there holding. There are some blue females. I thought all those blue ones were going to be males, but those two blue ones in there are females, and they have produced fry 3 or 4 times.
So I know the water here is already hard, but when you have crushed coral in it, are you actually raising like pH and hardness in that tank?
Yeah, the pH out of tap is about 7.4.
Okay.
I don't even own a pH test kit anymore.
Right.
It's about 7.4.
But it's probably harder in here because of the crushed coral.
And they do fine.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody does well. That's a beautiful fish.
It is. It
really,
is gorgeous.
really pretty.
This is a tank of mainly my breeder manganos. Those like those other ones I sell, but this is my breeder.
Yeah, this one holding.
Yeah, if you want to later, we can do a stripping video.
Okay.
I'll catch her and strip her and show you how I do it.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody do it the way I do it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
But yeah, I thought we might do that. If
Stay
you wanted
tuned,
to.
guys.
So this is my breeder group. There's a couple of Mapanga red males in here that are extras. I pulled out of the tank above because I didn't want them to get beat up.
All right. Come on over.
No, nothing on top here.
Why don't we have anything here?
Well, it's kind of my sort of spare tin.
What?
That's all my bags.
This could be tank space.
I have all the tanks I can take
You
care
got
of.
a 2-car garage over there. You just move that stuff over there. Get some tanks going.
Got a montage of babies in here. There's albino, green dragons, regular green dragons, super red calico, some baby VC10s, and there's quite a few baby albino Crocodile morii in here. So,
And the bear tank.
yeah.
Are you still doing water changes on this once a week or what?
A lot of these guys, I'm feeding real heavily. Some of these I'm doing once a day.
Yeah.
Every time I do a water change on a rack, I'm doing this tank too.
So you do this tank too. That makes sense.
It gets done every other day at the bed.
Well, and you got to be careful with these bare bottom tanks because
I have problems here with my pH. I'll crash. Some of these tanks would crash, and that's why I have substrate.
Right.
In Arlington, I didn't own any gravel, and everything was fine. Never had a problem. But here, I've had some issues.
Well, yeah, your gravel stabilizes that stuff, So with the bare bottom, you do got to be careful.
Stabilizing my chemistry.
All right, we got some super reds in here.
Yeah, this is my older colony of super reds. They've been in here since 12 or 14. They've been in here a while too, and these guys don't get as big as the albinos or the browns by any means. There's some young Xenotaka lion's eye in there as well. Those are big enough to have babies. I'm slowly starting to sell some of those. I haven't got a ton of babies ever from them. It's another one of my green tanks.
Green tank, 55.
My wife's mean angelfish that got thrown out from the house out here, and then there's mostly Demasni in there.
He was exiled for the good of the realm.
Yeah, he was being a little turd to the rest of them, so he's not near as pretty as the rest of them. The other ones are about that tall. Their fins have never been beat up or anything, so they're
take a look at those.
Pretty amazing. And there's some OB Pseudotrophus macrothalmus in there as well. So I'm getting ready to take some of these to Dallas North Aquarium as well.
All right. I keep going up, like there's a tank up, there's no tank up there.
This is another breeding pair of the Chromas. You see they've got a pretty good herd of babies. This pair's not as old as that other pair. The other pair over there's not producing as well as these guys are.
Yeah, these are.
So
a bunch in there.
Most of these all go down to San Antonio to Dave.
Now, do you have a brick for the plecos, or do you have them for other fish too? Like
the other fish too. I mean, I think there may be one pleco in here. These guys aren't real happy about having a pleco in here. They want to kill it.
Yeah.
They may have killed this one.
I think I saw him at the top.
Oh, you may have. He may be in there hiding somewhere. Well, they get a little testy when there's another fish in there.
They're mean.
This is
got albino and super reds.
Now this is my breeders of my albinos, but I've been throwing super reds in there as I catch them, and they're that big.
Yeah.
And I've been pulling young pairs out of there when I sell them.
Okay.
So, but
this side over here.
My main tank, the only thing breeding there's the albinos. Some of my sponges are kind of grungy, but that works fine for me.
Yeah. More Becca Splendens.
I had a breeding pair of Neolamprologus cylindricus in here, and one day last week it came out here and the male was dead. So I got mad and threw a bunch of amicas in there, and then there's 4 Leilupis in there as well.
It's nothing like.
I've just thrown those in there just in the last few days.
It's nothing like stocking tanks when you're mad.
Yeah. I needed to move all these. They were in tanks that were getting too clogged up. I'll just grow those out and sell them. I have a hard. People don't realize how nice these amicas are.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous fish. Here in a couple tanks, we'll see some really nice big ones. But it's a beautiful fish.
Yeah.
Under the right light, especially.
Well, and they eat hair algae apparently really well.
And that's just calicos and super red calicos that are destined for aquashella. I think when I put those in there, I think I put 75 of them in there, and they were already pretty decent size.
Right.
So those will.
So now they'll be better. Mm-hmm. All right.
This is standard. These are just regular calicos in here. There's a couple of extra male Chroma caesurius, and then there's a few amicas. The amicas are a great dither fish for Africans because they're tough. They're tough as hell. They can take it with any of the Africans and you have no issues. They're like you see this tank up here. They're in here with the Cyano Tilapia, which can be quite rough little guys, and they do fine out here. And all their babies get eaten, but you see, there's a big, beautiful males in here. And look at the spangles on their sides, and you see the females get quite large.
Yeah, they do.
And they can that female will have 50, 60 babies.
As big as the cichlids in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is Cyano Tilapia zebroides cobway, and there's young petricolas in here that I want to start breeding this winter. Just various sundry bristlenose.
Right, a top rack. That's what I'm talking about.
That's just grow out of cylindricus. I got 2 spawns of the cylindricus before I lost the male.
Where's your step stool when you're doing this thing? Huh?
It's on the other side over there.
Okay, you gotta have something.
Yeah, I have to have a step stool to get up there and get water changed. They got water changed this morning. That's just a tank of amicas. I need to sell some of those, don't I?
Yeah, you do. You got plenty of them.
I'm not breeding anymore. This is my breeder, Chroma caesurius, and then my group of L144 blue eyes. They're not breeding in here, but just my extras. That's the dominant male Chromas back there.
Yeah, what are you doing with this Mac on there?
One of them needs to be cleaned. You want to do it for me before you leave?
Maybe. Maybe. You got some longfin ones in here.
Yeah, there's some longfins in here as well, yeah. Some longfin browns. This is Chilenochromos bouchardi from Tanganyika.
So taking a nap?
I can't get them. He's just laying in there. I can't. I'm having hell getting these to lay eggs. I don't know what their problem is. They're being quite stubborn though.
They're lazy.
Their eggs are green. Leilupis' eggs are white, but these guys' eggs will be green.
And what is this substrate you got here?
That's just regular old aquarium gravel.
It's so fine though.
I've had it for years. That's just a grow out tank with various bristlenose. There's some reds in there and some browns and I don't know what all's in there.
You know, next time you're at one of these things, just get a puffer, throw it in a tank, and then.
Will he eat these little fish?
No, well, I think they'll be all right with the plecos.
Yeah.
You move from tank to tank though, and like
Yeah, I thought about just buying one just to have.
Go up here. Take care of some of the
There's
snails.
there's a few brown and albino bristlenose in there. That's mostly grow out manganos, a little bit bigger. And this is the breeding group of Neolamprologus brevis. Most of these go down to Dave, down to San Antonio. And this tank's got various bristlenose in it. It's got some, I think it's got some amicas and some atropinus. There's a young proven pair of the Tomatochromis in there, and I think there's also some Mampanga red full of born eyes.
All right, if there's a stepchild tank in this fish room,
My light went out.
it's got to be this one.
The light went out this week.
Got to be this one.
I got to go buy a 2-footer to replace
It's got a racket in front of it. It got no light.
It's just brown bristlenose is all that's in there.
It's got a hot Magnum. You're feeling generous. Got porridge this morning.
I tell you, Dave, most of these go to Paige, the brown bristlenose, where most of them go.
All right.
So everybody that has fish has junk.
Yep.
So
Yeah, you got a lot of these ceramic.
yeah, when I do when I grow out my bristlenose babies, I put them in these.
Right.
I slosh them out of the cave into here, and then I just put them here. Put an air stone in there. Put a little piece of driftwood in there until they absorb their yolk sac. And once they absorb their yolk sac, then they'll go to their new home.
Go in a tank.
And that's what all these are is just to do that. Sometimes I'll have 6 or 8 of these going.
Right, going at a time.
When everybody's
In the
spawning
winter,
real well.
when it's cooler.
Yeah, that's how I grow those out until they're big enough to be on their own. I don't like to let the babies in the tank with mom and dad because it's too hard to catch them.
Yeah.
And I don't like to have them to disturb the whole colony to catch some babies.
Well, and they're easy when they're right there in the cave. You just take them out right
they
there.
just wash them right out.
And do you wait till the eggs have hatched and then swash them out? Okay.
Anywhere from 1-2 days to 4, 5, 6 days.
Gotcha.
And then slosh them out and hatch them and grow them out myself. And it's just easier for me not to have to deal with it. So I try to keep everything simple as possible. But there's a lot of there's maintenance to it. The whole room takes me maybe 8 hours, but I'll do 2 or 3 racks a day and break it up into a bunch of pieces.
How long would you say it takes you to feed everything?
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Mine's about 30. But I do like brine shrimp and stuff too. So
The little bitty guys get a smaller food that's brine shrimp, decapsulated brine shrimp eggs, 200 to 300 micron golden pearls, and then krill fines for the little bitty guys. And then I'll crush some flake that some of the bigger cichlid fry get. And then everybody else also gets the flake or the skeetering pellets or some of these other pellets I have. So I don't feed a bunch of different kinds of stuff, and then toss green beans in here periodically. And everybody does well and grows. I produce a whole lot of fish.
well, we've toured the whole room. Can we press pause and check out that angelfish tank?
Sure.
Okay, let's do that.
This is a 75 gallon that my wife set up for my wife. It's got 3. I guess these are black lace. I'm not sure what they are. Angels.
They're huge.
I got them at a TCA auction maybe 3 years ago, something like that. And then there's a few plecos in here. And then there's some cories. There's albinos and there's some sturbe. They're probably up underneath the driftwood. I can't get rid of this darn hair algae or
How
whatever.
long's your light on?
Oh, this stays on all the time too.
There you go. Try an 8-hour cycle. And, throw some Mecha Splendens in there too.
No, I could, I guess.
See what happens.
These are some rather large angelfish.
You know, they've got some great timers now.
Yeah. We just never do that. I haven't seen many angelfish this big.
No, these are huge. They're so big.
And they've never been beat on, so they've been in here their whole life. 4 of them. Of course, you saw the one outside. He doesn't look near this nice because he's been in with cichlids and he's been chewed on.
Well, and you got looks like a Magnum filter in this and an air pump, and then you're doing a weekly water change on this.
And I might do this once a month.
Once a month,
because there's not many fish in here. And but
they're so big. I mean, just to get an idea, there's my hands.
They're pretty good size.
Yes.
The tails on them are super nice. That's a really nice fish there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's show quality, but they're a really pretty fish.
Just an enjoyable sight.
I don't remember whose fish these were even, but I just bought a bag of 4 of them from at one of the auctions. Watch out, so she won't get on your cord. But these are her fish. She feeds them, and I take care of the tank.
Yeah, so it's a good deal. All right, let's go ahead and check out the pond outside.
Okay. You know that pump is worth $120.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got this Rubbermaid tub.
It's a 110-gallon Rubbermaid tub.
110-gallon Rubbermaid tub.
And I just threw a bunch of fish out here.
It was in the fish room. Below that big tank. You got rid of the big tank. You got this.
Yeah.
2x4s into a DIY bucket filter with the pump.
I'm going to redo that over the winter when I tear this down, because I don't like. I'm going to get rid of get a new bucket that doesn't have holes in the sides.
You got more plants. You are coming there.
Yeah,
you're getting there.
These are not very pretty. I did have a ton of hornwort in here, but I guess the temperature just kind of made it just dissolve. It just went away. This has Gudea atropenus, manganos, Chroma azureus, the masonite.
What I like about this too is it gives you a different perspective of the fish. You know, like you're looking at this top down.
In the morning when the sun is out here and shining in here, the colors are incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, really different than the blue is really nice on them. So just a bunch of stuff I just threw in here for the summer. All I'm doing is feeding them. I haven't taken any fish out of here. But I'm
surprised this grating is as sturdy as it is.
Yeah, I keep wondering if that's going to break. This is all rigid, so that's all hard plumb. So
and what do you have inside of the
There's bio balls and those scrubbies.
Okay.
So I'm gonna redo that this winter. I don't like this water coming out the sides.
Right.
So I'll redo that this winter. But the fish have grown like crazy.
Oh yeah, because they get the bugs and stuff out here too. You're probably feeding this once a day.
No, they get fed 3, 4, 5 times a day.
Okay. So you're doing water changes on this just like the tanks?
Yeah.
So you drain it out into the yard?
Yeah.
50 to 95%, and then fill it back up.
Yeah.
Where do you write the date of your water change on this?
I don't. I just do it. Maybe I could write it on the window there.
Yeah, maybe you should.
I just do it when I'm doing tanks.
Write it on the wood or something.
I've done this many times when I lived in Arlington. I had a 300.
Yeah.
That I would grow my cichlid fry out 2 times a year. I would take them and sell them all the cage. In the wintertime, when the wintertime came, I would have to sell all the fish, move it to the garage, and it was insulated and covered. And then I would move it outside in the spring. When I got ready to move it back outside, I'd sell all the fish to him again. But I had a 300, it's big old stuff. About
empty it out. This is still like this is a big thing though. You have to have somebody helping you move it or something.
The 300 was pretty good size.
Yeah.
I would just drag it to the backyard.
Just drag.
I kept it on the patio, and I had a covered patio in Arlington. I kept it on the patio in the summer, and then in the wintertime it stayed in the garage.
Gotcha. All right, so I saw the dogs. How often are the dogs drinking out of this?
They're all. I've never seen them drink out of it. Roger's the only one that can. I've never seen.
Right, he's big enough.
He's a big old chicken. He's not gonna. I'm lucky to get him drink out of that.
Right.
So no, they don't bother it at all. The puppies chewed on this. She did the little bulldog.
Yeah.
She just turned 1 on Saturday. So this last Saturday. So she's a
hyper dog.
Yeah. She keeps eating my water hose and being a general pain. But this I've done this many times, but haven't done it in a long time. So I just threw a bunch of stuff out here to see what happened. And I know there's baby atropenus in here, and I hope there's baby Ziphiphorus helleri, the real topos. I hope there's some of those in there.
There's something floating here. What we got here?
Yeah, a piece of grass, probably blue in there.
I don't know. Very cool. All right, we'll go ahead and move back to the fish room and do an ending to this tour.
Okay.
All right, guys, there you have it. That is a tour of Phil Tucker's fish room and his pond and the Angelfish Tank. So thanks so much for joining us. You got anything to tell them?
I'm glad you came out and did this, and anybody that ever wants to come out and see this is more than welcome to come out. Visitors are always welcome. I have no secrets. I'll tell you anything I know, and love to see some of y'all come out.
I love people who have fish rooms and they're cool with people coming out and they want to show it off. I've met some and they're real secretive, and I'm like, what? I have no secrets. I want to, someone walking down the street, hey, come see my fish room. It's really cool. I want to share the passion.
No secrets from me.
If you guys like this is a long video, but do like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. All right, see ya.
All right, bye.